In fact, speaking of that, the internationalforecaster.com to get a free e-copy. And, Bob, do you have that toll-free number? Because I know Midas Resources is offering a free hard copy of the latest issue for anybody that wants to call.
That's correct. They are, and they always are. That number is 877-479-8178. That's toll-free 877-479-8178.
All right, briefly, caller, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did, and I thank you.
God bless you. Bob Chapman, we'll see you next Friday, God willing. And
you better believe it.
All right, you're the best. Bob Chapman, take care, my friend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Our websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. And I want to thank that caller earlier who's a PrisonPlanet.tv member. That's how you watch us live here each day. I'm going to come back and play this Ron Paul clip on the other side. Stay with us. I'll show you what they're putting in the Austin water supply. I have the FOIA request. The actual chemicals being dumped in there by the government. Hydrofluoric acid, H2SiF6, and other goodies. That is coming up. All right, this is a short clip, but Ron Paul is now going out on TV saying this gives the bankers more power than Congress has over the country. And that's what the, quote, overhaul of the private banks is. The Federal Reserve is their private consortium or their holding company. So they're saying give the private banks that did all this more power to stop it from happening in the future, which they promised back in October, give us more power and we'll fix it. And I told you, they've already been given unlimited financial power. Now they want power over other corporations and companies to seize any company, take over anything they want. And it's the same thing across the board, shutting down farms and ranches, NAIS, premises ID. I mean, this is a corporate takeover of every level of society. And then there's some big Iran news I haven't gotten to. That's clearly a CIA operation. First few days, I said, we'll wait and see. The mullahs do have some corrupt problems. They may have stolen the election. Definitely CIA op now. They've been caught doing that. In fact, I meant to get to it yesterday, but now even more evidence has come out. Can you guys, during the break, I'll find the photos for you, where they would crop photos of people protesting for Ahmadinejad, and they would say it was people against him. And BBC got caught doing that. They've had to admit they've staged it. But that's not it. They're always on TV with signs in English, and people have been picking them out as CIA people from the U.S. Just like when they tore Saddam's statue down, they showed close shots of 5 or 6 guys like it was a crowd. It turns out it was just a few dozen people, and it was all CIA ops. We're not saying the mullahs are good or Saddam's good. The issue is it's staged. Just know they're lying to you on the news and trying to overthrow Iran. Just, our government already did that in 53 to these poor people. No wonder they hate us so much. Stay out of their business. People are like, no, kill them. I like being an empire. The same empire is raping you too. You're not part of the empire. You pay for it. You're the slave that pays for it. You're a slave working in a factory for the New World Order. Stop thinking like you're part of it. Oh, these yuppies just can't figure it out. These good old boys just can't figure it out. Let's play Ron Paul. Here he is.
Is your perspective that Tim Geithner needs to dramatically change his approach at this point? We've seen Paul Krugman and other economists say the worst thing that could happen right now is for the government to ease up on the stimulus and other things, that it could lead to another crash. What are your thoughts?
Well, it would be good to stimulate the economy, but you don't stimulate it by doing the same things we've done for 20 years. And the policies that gave us our trouble, it can hardly be the solution. So spending more money and borrowing more money and inflating the currency, it will not solve the problem. They're making the assumption that it was a lack of regulations that caused our trouble. And yet we had banking regulators, and we had SEC regulators and FDIC regulators. We had a ton of regulations, and they failed. So they say, well, we just need more. It's sort of like what the outcome of Enron was. We passed Sarbanes-Oxley. Now they're trying to repeal Sarbanes-Oxley because it contributed to the problems of the early part of this decade. So I would say they're on the wrong course, and to me it's very, very disturbing that they have no confidence in the free market, and they have no interest whatsoever at looking at the root cause. And the root cause is easy credit, artificially low interest rates, inflating the currency, excessive spending, excessive debt, too much taxes, and they're going in the wrong direction. And believe me, there's reason for the polls to be shifting away from the administration because they're digging a bigger hole for us.
But Congressman Paul, the first thing you said in that line was easy credit. And are you not at all concerned with the role, for example, that some of the credit rating agencies played in that, which in part allowed people to, A, get more access to credit? I don't just mean individuals, but I mean large corporations. Are you not at all concerned that some of the regulations weren't well enforced?
Well, what you're trying to say is the regulations could compensate for the easy credit. It wasn't the regulators who created the credit. It was the Federal Reserve that pumps up the money supply and artificially lowers the interest rates. And then the regulators are supposed to come in and adjust. You might say the housing bubble should have been stopped by the regulators. But Congress and the regulators actually force some of these subpar loans. They had to give loans with no down payments. And that was involved with the regulators. So the regulators failed because the system of regulations can't possibly compensate for the errors that are made by the Federal Reserve in creating a monetary system that is just not stable at all.
Congressman Paul, I want to bring in my colleague Chuck Todd, who's the political director for NBC.
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
we'll be right back after this quick break. Stay with us.